I'm Alex. I am the CEO and founder of African Originals. And here today I wanted to talk a little bit about grit.
What is the KO story? Because at the moment we've got you on social media and a lot of platforms as African Originals, but the story really began here. So walk us through that journey.
So our company is called African Originals. That's like our umbrella master brand, and under it we have sub-brands: Kenyan Originals, 5/8, and African Originals. So most of the consumers know us as Kenyan Originals, but African Originals is the corporate umbrella arm of it. So we decided to go with African Originals due to the fact that we want to expound outside Kenya, because definitely we are doing real authentic Kenyan beverages that we'd wish the outside world to also enjoy the same way as Kenyans do.
So let's talk talent, because a lot of your brand can be killed by hiring the wrong person or the right person at the wrong time, right? How have you survived 7 years of sort of getting the right people into the company? Are there times when you've sort of gotten the right people at the wrong time? And there are times when you've gotten the wrong people at the right time? What's the journey been like?
So in African Originals as a company, we do believe in homegrown talent. Personally, I'll talk as Derek. I started off as a salesperson at KO, but gradually developed into being a brand ambassador, next into mixologist, next into a bartender, and now I'm the brand ambassador and the brand champion. So as a company, we do believe in growing up the homegrown talent, and these are people who are very true to your values as a company. One of them being originality, accountability, resilience, and collaboration. So when you put up these values together and working within the company through that time, it definitely builds you and making you be on to what the company does.
So with the title Africa Originals, are operations only based in Kenya, waiting to grow out of Kenya, or are you already in other markets?
So we have different country mixes that definitely envision whatever a particular country does. So for example, we have a cider called Nigerian mix. So Nigerian mix is Zobo and lime. Zobo is hibiscus in Nigeria. And these people really love hibiscus juice and hibiscus food. So how do you envision this idea into a brand and into a bottle? Is through making an inspired cider through that line. We have a Mali mix, which is mango and chili. Chili is very big in Mali. So how do we tell that Malian story through our drink or our cider? And we have a Zambian mix, and we also have a Kenyan mix. We can't forget ourselves. So we have a Kenyan mix. So at the external market currently, we are in Canada, the UK, and we are planning to launch in Uganda.
What do people think of when they think of grit? Any words? Anyone? Go on, Ian. Tough. Excellent. Endurance. Perseverance. All of those things. As I said, I think grit is doing like hard things every day. It's not that like one big thing that you have to get over the hump and then you're done, right? It is doing the marathon, not the sprint. But it's super important in this market, as any entrepreneur or anyone in the ecosystem. And why is that? Number one, I mean, I don't know, are there any entrepreneurs in the audience? Yes, excellent. Do you ever feel like you have to do everything? You have to do everything, there's lots of nods, okay? And actually, yes, across the globe, entrepreneurs will feel that, but we are in Africa and in Kenya, you come into this market and you're like, wow, there's so much opportunity. There is so much opportunity. There are so many new ideas and business options. But when you're on the other side building, it also means there are less partners to build with, right? So that thing that you could have outsourced, you actually have to do it yourself. So I do think you need extra grit in this market because you have to do a lot of it yourself. Case in point, as I said, we are 3 businesses in one. We manufacture, we're brand owners, and we distribute. Also, any questions for any entrepreneurs there? Anyone run out or nearly run out of money? Hands up, no? Or is it just me? Yes. I mean, we've done that many times. And fact to say is just in this market, the funding, the global funding, I think it's 4 billion, close to 4 billion in African funding. To give you context, just Silicon Valley for AI got 11 billion. So out of that 4 billion in the whole of Africa for funding, women founders get 2% of that 4 billion. So it is very hard to get money in this market. And there's a real art to that. Not that I've mastered it, but I've learned a few things along the way on that. But yeah, I just want to end on some positive notes. So, what does fuel our grit? And we touched on it before, but number 1 is our people. You met Derek. You've got Chariot here. Lorna's right at the front. And actually that's Stacey, one of our distillers. So that is definitely what gets us and fuels us through the grit. So does our innovation. We touched on it before, but we love making new things. It's pretty cool. We also love making new things that are based on an insight that someone has said, like they want something, right? I see a lot of things copied, and there's so much opportunity to develop stuff that is relevant for the Kenyan consumer here. So here, are our KO clubs, which is one of Chariot's babies, which is really coming up with a new drink every 3 months. So it's a new spirit. It can be gin, but there's some other cool stuff. And once it's gone, it's gone. So we make 400 bottles, then it's gone. And it's just a bit of fun. It's not what's going to drive our top line, but we have fun with it, and we learn a lot, and we enjoy making stuff for consumers. You'll see some cool stuff coming this year. I also think what fuels our grit is to stop some things that aren't working. This is my very first brand, Nairobi Nibbles. Did everyone see it? No, it's just me. Oh yeah, there we go. But I think my learning on this is don't just make something for yourself, right? Make sure you make products that are for other people. And also it really gave us the focus on beverages, and we could run at that much faster and focus our manufacturing towards beverages rather than snacks.
I first had my first KO in, I think, 2020 at Bowbox.
Nice, early days.
Yes.
Very good.
And it was the time that I was starting to drink alcohol. I am really not a fan of hard liquor because I really hate bitter stuff. I love sweet stuff. So when I drank it at first, pineapple mint was my first one. But right now I prefer passion and lime. It blew my mind. And then I went back to Nakuru. I'm from Nakuru actually. And I couldn't find it. Every time I go to a place, I would be like, why are you guys not having KO? And they didn't hear about it. And then I think 2 years later, after COVID, I started seeing KO everywhere. And I was so happy. Man, someone could have said I'm a brand ambassador for KO. Even now, my friends can attest. Yeah, I'm just pregnant now, I can drink. But everywhere we go, I don't take any other alcohol apart from KO. Because, it's the original. And I'll tell you for a fact, I've tried the other ones because my friends have told me to try. But I give it to you. You still have the authenticity of whatever the others are trying to copy. So
thank you, Rachel.
I'm so happy. You guys continue scaling high and a cheerleader here.
So my question is, once your product was ready to sell, how did you actually go there? What was the process? Did you start selling to the end customer? Did you go directly to the retailer? How difficult is it at the beginning when you don't have a brand behind to sell to outlets and retailers? How do you go about that?
Your brand is already a brand once it's like on shelf, right? Because actually, this comes to my next point is our biggest selling mechanic is to get it on shelf. And that's the benefit of retail versus a bar. And everything that I'd been taught was build brands in bars because people fall in love with your brand in a bar because you're building memories with Giuseppe and like hanging out, and you're going to have a really fun night out, and you'll remember that time that whatever that shot came, etc. But the problem with that in this market is one, this distribution issue that I was talking about, and two, actually when you walk into a bar, many bars here don't have menus. So how are you going to be top of mind? So to your point, then you do need to build a really high awareness brand. So our focus was to go into a channel that we know people will already be forced to see. Cool.
Yeah, I've just noticed that you've had a good retention, especially with Derek, 8 years. So I'd like to know what are some of your strategies or secret to retaining your employees, and also when hiring for senior leadership roles, what are some of the non-negotiable qualities you look at which can drive short-term and long-term growth of African originals?
Number one, they're just really willing to get their hands dirty and involved. They're kind of people who will speak on the floor to you, or at every level of the organization. They're not behind their desks, and it's so difficult, to be honest, to find that quality, and it's very hard to interview for that. So when you see it, it's a diamond in the rough, guys, as well. They're also both people. So I think building strong teams is a really difficult quality as well to find, and finding people who can balance like managing as well as doing, which is kind of what we need, right? So you're managing people, but you're also doing the doing. You're not just like doing the managing. And so I think that's what both of these people do in spades. Finally, I would say they both demonstrate what I talked about, that grit with a smile. Ken has like his different way of you see, there we go. Faith has a smile much more. But they both do that kind of thing where they know what they need to get done, they go and do it. And at the end of the day, we can still have a drink and laugh about it.
Right, so I believe a round of applause is in order for Alexandra and her team. They've learned so much, and I'm sure everyone here has benefited from the experience, having you in the room. Thank you very, very much for being part of the Nairobi Garage story. We're looking forward to having more and more engagement with the Africa Originals team. And thank you very, very, very much for coming.